I don't know about you guys, but one of my absolute favorite combinations is bacon and Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are delicious on their own, but when you add bacon to them, they're kind of magical. So today, I'm gonna make a Brussels sprouts and bacon pasta. So slice up your Brussels sprouts. You wanna get them nice and thin, sort of shreddy. You can do this in the food processor if you want to. Actually, for 1 sec, I'm gonna stop shredding Brussels sprouts and get my pasta cooking. I have a big pot of salted water, and then add your pasta. It's 12 ounces of spaghetti in a nice big pot. The other day I was cooking spaghetti at home and I used my 4-quart pot. So bad. It was like this. It was like all crowded in there. Ugh. Give this a stir. Plenty of water to cook your pasta. Just leave that cooking. You want to cook it till it's almost al dente. With spaghetti, that's usually about 11, 12 minutes. Back to your Brussels. I have some bacon already cooking in my pan. It's 6 ounces of bacon. It got nice and crispy. And I'm just going to remove it, actually, from the pan. What I'm doing here is sautéing my bacon and then sautéing my Brussels sprouts in the bacon fat. If you have more than a tablespoon in there, you should spoon some of it off. And since I need to do this in batches because I want to get a little bit of browning on my Brussels sprouts, I'm going to add some of them now while I'm slicing everything else. I had that on a really, really low, so I'm just going to turn it up a little. I would say this is like, that's probably like 2 tablespoons, right? I should probably get rid of some of it. I do like the flavor of bacon and I love having the crunchy bacon on top, but I don't like my pasta to be completely overwhelmed by bacon flavor. So add about half of your Brussels sprouts. It's 1 1/4 pounds total. Half of them are going to get sauteed. So you're going to do it in batches, that's all. Just so you can get some like room in there, some browning, etc., etc. Give that a little stir, a little stirry stir, maybe a little bit of salt, a little pepper. Good to go. If it seems like your pan is too dry, you can always add a little bit of olive oil. I'm just finish this up real quick. Dun, dun, dun. Add those to the rest of the Brussels for the second batch, and then you'll also need 4 cloves of garlic. I'm going to say that I probably put garlic in 75% of all the food I make. It's the one thing that I buy every time I go shopping. It's just so great for building flavor. The Brussels sprouts are starting to wilt. They're getting a little bit of brownness on them. I don't want them to be overly cooked. I want them to retain a little bit of crunch and brightness. So I'm going to take this batch out and then cook my second batch. See, a little bit of char. It's nice. Set those aside for a sec. If the pan had any like burnt bits on it, you could add a little bit of water. Sometimes when you're cooking the bacon, it can overly brown. I actually cleaned out my pan before I started shooting, so I got rid of those browned bits. But if you're feeling like your pan is getting really dark right now, just spoon some of your pasta water in there and it'll boil up and get rid of all that browning before it burns, and then it's delicious flavor and not just burnt. Same thing with this batch. Don't over season your Brussels sprouts, just a light seasoning, because the pasta is going to be seasoned from the boiling water, and there's bacon, and there was that bacon fat, especially in the first batch, so you want to be careful that you don't make it too salty. Before I forget, I'm going to save 1 1/4 cups of the pasta cooking water to make the sauce at the end. I almost always forget that, and then I drain the pasta, and I'm like, why? I needed that pasta water. I'm going to leave this for 1 second and drain my pasta, and then come back and cook some garlic. Now these Brussels are ready. One last thing, a little bit more olive oil, a couple tablespoons, and those sliced garlic on sort of a medium-low heat. You don't want your garlic to burn, so cook it on like a lowish heat. Your pan is already kind of hot from sautéing the Brussels sprouts, so be careful at this point not to overdo it. I turn my heat down to low. So when your garlic gets fragrant, add your pasta just directly to the pan. And then your pasta water. I'm not going to do all 1 1/4 cups. I'm going to do about a cup. Give that a little stir. This is the whole sauce, which I know is crazy. One more ingredient, a half a cup of grated parm, and then you can finish with more parm at the end. And the parm and the pasta water will cook together to form a really, really creamy sauce. So just finish off your cooking of your pasta. It should be slightly less than al dente when you put it in here so that you can cook it in the pasta water. So you won't be sitting in pasta water, it'll absorb most of that. And then if you continually stir it, it becomes a sauce. The cheese, it's like a magic event. I'm gonna give it another like minute to boil. Needs a tiny bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I'm gonna add about half my Brussels sprouts and then save the rest for garnish so it looks pretty on top, but I like to mix them in a little bit. Serve it up. I just don't like to have like a plain bowl of pasta, so I like to mix in my Brussels sprouts here, then more on top. It's practically salad, you guys. Some of that bacon. Uh-oh, that piece is burnt. I gotta eat that. And then some more cheese, because why not? Oh, man. Pepper. A little oil. 5 ingredients. So delicious. Could not be more delicious or easier to make. Give it a try.